The king was gone. And no one knew why. I found the letter, and everything I thought I knew was a lie. Betrayal ran deeper than blood. What I uncovered shocked me to my core, and it wasn't just the crown that was at stake, it was the soul of the kingdom. What I did next would change everything, forever. The broken seal. I had never expected to wake up to betrayal. But there it was, right in front of me. The royal seal, shattered on the floor. It should have been a symbol of safety, of unity. Instead, it marked the end of everything I thought I knew. I felt the cold stone beneath me, the air thick with a strange heaviness. The king was gone, vanished like smoke, leaving only the broken seal and the echo of lies. I should have noticed sooner. But there's no time for regret. This is where it all begins. The silence in the room was deafening, the weight of uncertainty pressing on my chest. My heart raced as I scanned the room. The tapestries, familiar, comforting, now seemed foreign, taunting me. The king had disappeared, and no one knew where he went or why. My father had been in the room just hours ago. He'd spoken of peace, of victory. But it was all a lie. The truth was slipping through my fingers, just out of reach. There were whispers, rumors, and I had to uncover the truth. I rushed out of the palace, the cool air biting at my skin. No one seemed to notice my haste, but I could feel their eyes, their judgment. They didn't know what I knew. They didn't understand what had happened. But I did. I had seen my father, his face twisted with a lie he'd told me. And now I had to figure out why he lied. Who was he protecting? Who was he betraying? The streets were busy, but I had no time for the chaos around me. I had to find the truth. And I knew where to start, the secret chamber, hidden deep beneath the castle. There were things there that no one was meant to know. The king's disappearance wasn't the first betrayal. It was just the latest in a long line. And I was about to uncover it all. The hidden chamber. The air in the chamber was thick with dust, and the flickering torchlight barely cut through the darkness. My footsteps echoed in the silence, each step a reminder of the danger I was walking into. The walls seemed to close in on me as I descended deeper into the heart of the castle. I wasn't supposed to be here. No one was. But I had to find out the truth. The chamber door creaked as I pushed it open, revealing a room that had been untouched for years. The books on the shelves were old, their covers cracked with age. The symbols carved into the walls spoke of secrets long buried. But it wasn't the books or the carvings that caught my attention. It was the chest, sitting in the far corner, locked tight. I walked towards it, my hands trembling with anticipation. What could be inside? A letter? A confession? The key to everything? I didn't know, but I had to find out. I knelt before the chest, fumbling with the lock. It clicked open, and my heart skipped a beat as I lifted the lid. Inside, there were letters, lots of them, each one marked with the royal seal. My hands shook as I picked one up. The handwriting was familiar, too familiar. My father's. I could barely breathe as I read the first line. To the one who will lead after me. The words hit me like a punch to the stomach. My father had known. He had known the truth all along. And he had kept it from me. I could feel my hands trembling as I read on. The king's disappearance wasn't a surprise. It was part of a plan I had no part in. But I would make sure I had a say in the next chapter of this story. I wasn't going to let this betrayal go unpunished. But I wasn't sure who I was fighting. The king? My father? Or someone else entirely? The unraveling. The truth was worse than I could have imagined. Each letter in that chest revealed a new layer of deception. The king hadn't disappeared because of some noble cause. No. He had been betrayed by the very people he trusted most. And my father, he had been one of them. As I pieced the story together, a horrifying realization hit me. my father had been planning this for years. He had set this whole thing in motion. But why? Was it for power? For wealth? Or was there something darker at play? The more I uncovered, the more the pieces seemed to fit. The alliances, the secret meetings, the promises made in the dark corners of the kingdom. It all pointed to one thing, a conspiracy that stretched far beyond the palace walls. And now I was tangled in it. I had to confront him. But how could I face the man I had looked up to my entire life? The man who had betrayed the very crown he had sworn to protect. As I made my way back to the palace, I could feel the eyes of the kingdom on me. They didn't know what I knew, but they sensed something was wrong. The king's disappearance had left a void, and everyone was scrambling to fill it. I had to act fast. My father's betrayal wasn't just about power. It was about control. And I was about to take that control back, no matter the cost. The final decision. The confrontation with my father was inevitable. I knew it would come, but nothing could have prepared me for the coldness in his eyes when he finally admitted the truth. There was no remorse, no regret, just the chilling acceptance of his actions. "You've learned too much," he said, his voice flat. "The kingdom needs change, and I will be the one to lead it." His words hit me like a dagger to the heart. The betrayal wasn't just a political move. It was personal. And now, I had to decide whether to follow in his footsteps or tear everything down to uncover the truth. I had a choice. The kingdom could either be ruled by the lies my father had built, or I could burn it all down and rebuild it from the ashes. But the cost would be high, and I wasn't sure I could pay it. I stood there, in the shadow of the man who had shaped my life, and for the first time, I felt the weight of the crown, one that I never asked for but was now forced to wear. The fate of the kingdom rested in my hands. And the hardest part was yet to come. The betrayer's legacy. The days that followed felt like a blur. The kingdom was on the brink, teetering between revolution and ruin. I had made my choice, but with it came a heavy burden. My father's betrayal was just the beginning, others were waiting in the shadows, eager to claim their share of power. But the deeper I dug, the more I realized that the conspiracy went far beyond just my father. The entire court, the nobility, even my closest friends, they had all been playing a part in this game. As the new ruler, I had to confront these truths head-on. The whispers of betrayal followed me everywhere. The nobles in the hall, the soldiers in the barracks, even the servants, they all knew something was coming. I could feel their eyes on me, waiting for me to falter. But I wasn't going to back down. I couldn't. One night, as I walked through the empty halls of the palace, the weight of my decision settling heavily on my shoulders, I was stopped by a familiar face. It was Lady Elena, a close friend of my mother's and a trusted confidant. Her gaze was steady, but there was something in her eyes, a flicker of doubt. "You're changing, my lord," she said softly, her voice carrying an undertone of concern. "The kingdom, it's changing, too. But is it for the better?" I didn't answer right away. The question lingered in the air, too complicated to put into words. Was I doing the right thing? Was all of this worth the bloodshed, the betrayal, the loss? Could I truly rebuild what had been broken, or was I just as guilty as my father in tearing it all apart? I knew what needed to be done. The kingdom couldn't survive under the old system. My father's rule had been built on lies, and I couldn't keep it standing on the same foundation. But there was one more betrayal I had to face, the one I hadn't seen coming. Lady Elena wasn't just a friend. She had been a part of my father's plans. And now, as I stood there in the silence of the night, I realized she had played me just as much as he had. Her smile was cold, her eyes sharp as knives. "You should have known, my lord. This was never your kingdom to rule." The shattered crown. Lady Elena's betrayal hit harder than any of the others. She had been with me through it all, offering counsel, lending support. But now I saw her for what she truly was, another puppet in my father's game, another face in the sea of treachery. The weight of that truth crushed me. But there was no time for self-pity. The stakes had risen. The conspiracy wasn't just about the throne, it was about control over everything. The lands, the people, the future of the kingdom. It was a game of survival, and if I didn't act quickly, there would be no kingdom left to rule.